my word.
Titleist GT, a new class of drivers.
Front nine, back nine, or eyeing the 19th hole, wherever you are in life, Hostplus can help you drive your retirement further. That's a plus.
And I play with this guy and I watch him hit the ball. I look at Alana and I go, I got no chance, have I? Because he was so good back then. I mean, yeah. John, you're incredible.
Welcome to Talk Birdie to Me with former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn and Tour Pro Mark Allen, live from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. And thanks to our great partners, Hostplus, the official retirement partner of Talk Birdie to Me, Titleist, the clear number one ball in golf, FootJoy, the number one shoe and glove in golf. Better, when the greats bet, they bet with Better. Ping will help you play your best. And the Golf Clearance Outlet, who beat everyone's prices. Now, here's Nick and Mark.
G'day everybody, welcome to the program. This week for Hostplus, we are hosting an Australian superstar golfer, one of my favourites. I remember when he first came out on tour, this big, strong bugger from Queensland, and then they said, you got to go watch him hit the ball because the driver flight was something like you have never seen before in your life. I reckon him and Brett Ogle had the same sort of ball, low, rising flight. His name is John Senden. He won an Australian Open in 2006. He won twice on the US Tour, and he had top tens in 3 of the 4 majors. He's one of our favourites, Nick. He was always a good bloke to talk to. Yep. And we've got him all set to go. G'day, Sendo.
How are you guys? Good to see you, Mark. Good to see you, Nick. How are you?
Yeah, we're really well.
Really good.
We are really well.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. We find you in Birmingham, Alabama, playing a Champions Tour event. What have you been on there now, like 4 or 5 years on the Champions Tour? How's it all going?
Yeah, this is my 5th year on the Champions Tour, and it's been fun. The guys are great on the tour. You've got the sake of about 12 other Australian players playing, and also you've got Hall of Famers, you've got all sorts of rookies out there, 50 years of age rookies. It seems quite weird, but the Champions Tour has about 26 events on the tour every year, and it goes pretty much on some of the old courses that we used to play on the PGA Tour, and it's just a great mix of guys that we all, back to our own age, and the guys that we used to play with in our 20s and 30s, now we're back with them again in the 50s. So it's really good fun out there, and the competition is really, really good.
All right. So we've caught you in the Seniors Tour or the Champions Tour. I want to know how it started for you, Sendo. I mean, when did you find golf, and when did you know that you had something special?
Well, I started my golf in Brisbane at a course called Keperra Golf Club, and it was I was probably 11 years of age, 12 years of age when I started playing golf, and before that was kind of swimming and soccer, and then when I started playing golf, I met up with the resident professional Ian Triggs when he was out there, and as you know, Triggsy is still my coach today, which is great, and all those years of having him as my coach and one of my best friends. I walked into the pro shop when I was 12 years of age, and he said, "How are you? How are you, mate?" So, and then a relationship started from there. So, and the good thing about Keperra Golf Club, as probably you guys had experiences when you were young as well, was there was so many juniors playing golf back then. There was at least 200 junior golfers at our golf club, and there was so much competition at the golf course, and so the relationships with your friends on the same age was very good, and it was just a healthy place to go out. It was just we learned a lot, great competition, and that's where I sort of started off playing the game of golf.
So Mark, the first time I came across John and his wife Jackie, Troppo Tour. We're talking mid-90s. And I mean, I'm struggling to break 80 right out on there. I got my wife Alana and Jackie, funnly enough, hit it off straight away.
That was good. That was handy.
As they do. And I remember playing with John in an event. It might have been up somewhere like maybe Tully or somewhere like that up there in far north Queensland.
Boston.
Yeah, probably. And I play with this guy and I watch him hit the ball. I look at Alana and I go, I got no chance, have I? Because he was so good back then. I mean, John, you were incredible back then in the day in the mid-90s, and you did so well here in Australia as well in that period. But how was the progression from you? I mean, I know you went sort of Australia, European tour, and then US tour. Was that a planned thing, or how did it all unfold for you?
I always remember playing, high school golf, and then when I was probably in year 12, I, started thinking about becoming a professional golfer, and then so I got the opportunity to become an apprentice under Triggsy at Keperra, and that really gave me a nice little 3-year window of working and honing your game, and with that apprenticeship, it gave us all different sides of competition in the pro ranks. So, and then when I was a trainee, Triggsy said to me, where do you want to go in with your golf? I says, I want to play, the major tours and play on the US tour. And he goes, okay, well, that sounds great. And then he says, okay, well, let's have a think about this and set some goals to think that how we're going to get there. So he said to me, well, who are the best Australian golfers at the time playing the game? And it was like, Norman, Grady, Baker Finch, Parry, Peter Senior. And these guys all went to European tour before they went to the US tour.
Yeah,
it's kind of a little different now because the dynamic is different with the US tour. If you want to play America, you probably want to come to the Corn Ferry tour now. But that was the mindset back in the day to get us onto the major tours. So I remember telling Triggsy, that'd be great. I'll get out there and play a few years and play the European tour and then go on to the US tour. And he goes, well, hang on a minute. He goes, why don't we set a goal to see if he can make the US tour by the year 2000. Now, this was back in 1991. I said, excuse me, I think I can hopefully get to the tour before that. The year 2000 felt like miles away, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I want to hopefully get better than that a bit quicker. So anyway, and as the time went along, we were playing Tropo Tour with Nick, right? So, and obviously you're up there, Nick, with Alana, and we were playing a few pro-ams, and I got to tell you, Mark, poor old Nick and Alana had this little minivan, and we were going along. I think we were driving towards Mount Isa, and there's Nick and Alana with the broken tyre snapped in half or something.
You remember that? Wow.
Something went completely wrong. Was that the truth, Nick?
That is the truth. So. We were leaving Mount Isa trying to get to the next tournament in Mackay, I think it was. And about an hour and a half out of Mount Isa, there's a truck came past, smashes the windscreen of our camper van. And we're going, right, what do we do? We're at the side of the road and we're going, okay, well, I know the next town is a place called Cloncurry, which is like another hour or so away.
Good memory. I remember all these names.
I remember them all. Yeah. Anyway, I'm driving along with no windshield and like there are trucks coming the other way. Alana's in the back because
stones would be going everywhere.
Yeah, well, exactly. So every time a truck came over, we'd pull over to the side. And what happened was one of these big ones came towards us. And all the air, the vacuum it created, we had a pop-up camper van. You remember the old pop-up? Yeah. Whoosh, the roof. The roof has basically got, half ripped off. Yeah. And then we're sitting there going, I don't know really what to do. And pros are driving past us, probably Sendo and, and Jackie stopped and go, well, what's going on here? Because we're trying to get to the next town. In the end, we drove to the next town. Alana's hanging onto the roof in the back, trying to keep it down while I'm just crawling along. And we eventually made it. And I'm sidetracking the story. But great memory, John. Great memory.
Hey, Sendo, I'm curious. Yeah. You had all this ability. You grew up in Queensland, but you kind of have to play well in Australia first. So when you came first to Victoria and, all of a sudden there's a race to see who can have the fastest greens. How did you go putting on the Queensland greens and Tropo Tour greens? They're coming down and trying to perform in the Masters and Australian Opens where the greens were running at 13 and, sometimes 14. They wouldn't say they were 14, but they were. Exactly. How'd you go?
Well, I always remember, I remember making the Queensland schoolboys team back in like 1988, year 12. And the Australian Championships were down at Melbourne, and we played. That week was Royal Melbourne, Victoria, Woodlands, Metro, Kingston Heath. And anyway, so the first day we get up there and we're playing Victoria Golf Club, and I come down there and I put my ball on the green and I hit a putt and it goes off the other side, straight off the other side. So I'm thinking, wow, this is crazy. So, but it was such a different experience. I mean, the first time I'd ever play golf in Melbourne, we're all excited and. And so, the conditions are very different, as you know, and it's always a great learning experience coming from Bermuda greens in Brisbane or Queensland to the Melbourne bent grass and the fast surfaces. So you always know how you're really putting when you turn up in Melbourne, because the greens are so perfect and the breaks are so, sharp and that sort of thing with fast greens. So it was a great experience coming down to Melbourne, and really loved coming down. It was great.
Tell us about that driver flight, because I was serious in the intro. A lot of you are a lure to go and watch, and I reckon you would have had, your fair share of people coming to watch you play Sendo in Australia. But when you first arrived on tour, your ball flight was something to behold. I remember I played with you in New Zealand, and I just could. Your golf ball was still clipping the grass at the end of the tee, and then it would rise, and then it would draw, and then it would go a million miles. And I think I was lost watching your ball flight, trying to shoot under par myself.
Sendo had some of the best lag to the swing, and I don't know if that was something that it was a natural move or that Triggsy taught you. I mean, you explain it.
Yeah,
it was definitely something more natural that I started out with. Triggsy never sort of steered away from that as I went through my pro ranks, and of course, as we all know, the ball spun so much more back in the day with Tour Balladas, Tour Editions, Max Fly, all those different manufacturers that made the ball spin a lot more. So, and obviously as time progressed, you got the Pro V now, you got the ball launching higher. So, it was something that the spin really helped me, because I was always someone who would hit down on the ball, even with the longer clubs, 3-wood driver, coming out with a lower launch, and the spin ratio was just helped me along tremendously. So, and I feel sort of like as you can shape the ball a lot more through the air, you sort of had more control over other players in the field. So, and now everyone these days is hitting the ball so straight. Everyone's come much more closer together. It's really helped the player that's really sort of doesn't spin the ball as much to sort of launch it higher, and it helps you out a lot.
Now, okay, I got to get back to this question that Triggsy sort of said to you a while back, where it's 1991, you're doing your traineeship. He said, let's aim for the US by the year 2000. Maybe go to Europe first. How long did it take to get to Europe?
Well, we all played Troppo back in the 90s, right? And then I managed to qualify for the Asian Tour as well on 94 through 97 of those years. And then so obviously after talking to Triggsy, going through getting the experience in Asia, I had to sort of like figure it out how am I going to get to that major tour. So, having gone through that time, I decided to go to the European Tour School, because that was just the way it was. Most of the players that we knew of, the guys that were in Europe at the time were, Peter O'Malley and Lonard and Wayne Riley, those types of players. So they're all playing that tour. So they thought, hey, let's get over there and try and do that one. So at the end of 97, I went over to the Q School and I tried to qualify. Missed out by a couple of shots. Played the Challenge Tour in 98 and then qualified top like 25 and that. So, and then got onto the main tour from 99, 2000, 2001. So having had that experience in Europe had put me in such a good spot for playing the US Tour, because I believe if I didn't have that experience in Europe and going through those motions through the European Tour, I would never have survived on the US Tour as well. And another reason as well for, seeing how the players in Asia or the American players in Asia or even Australian Tour players was so different from watching the European Tour guys practice and go through their work ethic. When we turned up, and Nick, this very well as well, like when we turned up in Europe, it was like you watch the likes of Montgomery and Faldo and Clark and Westwood. Those guys, when we first turned up, you knew how their work ethic was and how good they were at their craft, and seeing how they practice and seeing how much harder they practiced than what we were doing in Asia or even Troppo or whatever you want to call it back in the day. And that's why those guys were so good, so young, because they actually learnt that from sort of the guys that were possibly grew up in Europe or London and it was even at the next level again when I sort of qualified for the PGA Tour in America. It was just the guys were the same, like the guys like the Westwoods, Clarks, they're all practiced the same and they're all great. but there were just more of them in America, and there was the depth of quality is just incredible. So you really had to sort of change your work ethic to stay on tour once you got there. It was a good experience.
Hey, just one more question before we finish up this 9, Sendo. 2-time winner on the US tour. You would have played with Tiger a bit, I reckon. And you told me once upon a time that I think the first time you played with him, he Googled you beforehand. He was asking you questions about, what it was like. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he got in Pampling's ear as well, I think, too. So, and Pamps was telling me, I'm not sure Pamps wasn't, but Tiger come up to me and says, do you live out there on the in the middle of Australian Outback Ranch? I said, no, but my wife does. So anyway, and I'm surprised that it even come out of his mouth, because I've got drawn with Tiger at the 2007 Farmers Insurance Open at on the PGA there, and it was my first time I played with the guy. So first 2 rounds, I'm thinking, oh my God, here we go, this is great. It's better saddle up now. They've got Tiger on the group. So anyway, so we tee off on the first hole, and Stevie Williams on the bag, and so we get up there, and we basically he started talking about the Outback Australia. I thought, oh my God, how does he know this sort of stuff? Yeah. Whether he's Googled or whether he's talking to Pampling, or he must have known from somebody all this stuff. So anyway, so I sort of, as we're going along on the golf course, I sort of say to him, well, hey Tiger, what do you do when you get away from golf, or where do you go, sort of thing? I says, oh well, I got my places, I go fishing, or I go to the Bahamas, or I got plenty of places to hide. I said, well mate, I said to him, if you want to go a place to hide in Australia, you can go take your jet and land it right in the middle of Outback Australia. No one's going to find you out there, I'm telling you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Hey, by the way, for John to get paired with Tiger Woods in 2007. Tiger's at his prime.
Yeah, that's right.
First 2 rounds of someone like, I think that must have been Tory, is that right, John, the Farmers?
Torrey Pines.
Yeah, that is huge, because Tiger owned that place as well. So you were playing some good golf. Obviously, you came off the win the previous year, so I've got to tip my cap there.
Hey, not as good as Nick O'Hearn catching him twice in match play, mate.
That's exactly right. Although we don't say it too often on this podcast anymore, we get told off. Hey, Sendo, take it easy. Go get yourself, a cup of coffee or whatever you're having over there in Alabama. And we'll get back to you on the back 9 in just a tick.
Cheers, mate.
What I'm working on in my swing at the moment is being able to sync my lower body to my upper body on the way down. The Hyperflex shoe offers the stability and comfort that I'm looking for in my golf swing. Golf shoes are a huge part of golf equipment, especially when I'm working with the longer clubs like 3-wood and driver. I'm really able to go to another gear and know that I'm going to be supported. My name is Elvis Smiley, and these are my FJs.
Front 9, back 9, or eyeing the 19th hole, wherever you are in life, Hostplus can help you drive your retirement further. That's a plus.
From Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, this is Talk Birdie to Me. Hostplus, the official retirement partner of Talk Birdie to Me, the golf clearance outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Ping will help you play your best and better, ahead of the game. Now for Titleist, the #1 ball in golf, and FootJoy, the #1 shoe and glove in golf. Here's Nick and Mark.
Okay, welcome back. This is a special with John Senden, one of Australia's best ever golfers, and someone we absolutely love. Hey, Sendo, I've mentioned this before. We do lots of silly things on this podcast. And one of my most embarrassing shots in my life, I was playing with you somewhere in New Zealand. That's why I mentioned New Zealand before, but I was still using a Persimmon club, and you and I skied it into a tree above us. There was a chute, and the ball came back on the tee. And now I've told the story, and I'm just wondering, can you remember that crazy shot or not? You probably can't.
No. Fill me in.
The one thing I can remember, John, is looking over at you and you were laughing your head off. That's the one thing. That's the one thing I can remember. Hey,
that's great.
One of the reasons we got you is because, Nick, you've got the email right in front of us. One of the reasons we got you because people were concerned when they found out that you did have Parkinson's. We got this email, Nick.
Yeah. So a few years ago, John, made the announcement that he had Parkinson's, obviously. But one of our listeners, Peter Abraham, has written in and said, "Hi guys, great podcast. I look forward to each YouTube clip. I noted in your Australian Open roundup, which I attended for the 4 days, John Senden played with Parkinson's disease. I also play golf with Parkinson's at Lang Lang. I also realise it's a very personal ailment, but it would be great to hear from John about how he works with the disease, as it's very confronting at times. Are you able to reach out to him for me?"
So, well, that's one of the reasons we've got you on, John. We thought it was a great idea to get you on and talk about your career, but also to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one. It's something that you don't expect. I was, when I first felt what was happening to my body, I felt sort of like almost like a small little movement or tremor in my right hand. And anyway, I said to Jackie, we were just at home in Dallas, and I said, "Oh, I've got this little bit of a weird movement in my right hand, and it's not really sort of going away. Sometimes it just sort of does a little bit of sort of almost like a bit of a jiggle, or whether it just sort of doesn't want to stop." And anyway, she says, "Oh, just keep an eye on it, and then we'll see how that goes." And anyway, so progressively, it's just come and goes. All the back then, this was back in 23, and so anyway, so when we were out there playing on the Champions Tour, I went in and seen one of the head chiropractors that was on the trailer, on the fitness trailer that's on the Champions Tour, and I said, "Look, can you have a look at my right arm and just check my neck or do something just to look and see if there's something sort of out of place that's causing this little bit of a sort of feeling I'm going on in this right hand?" And then he told me that, "John, I think it's a little bit more sinister than that. I think you should get it, checked out." So anyway, so I was contacted the tournament PGA Tour doctor. His name was Tom Hostpel, who works out there all the time every week, and he said, "Look, John, I think that I can get you onto one of the best neuros that's we've had." And this guy was called Charles Adlin. He was out at the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale. So Jackie and I went out, flew out there that next week and saw this guy, and he put me through basically a system of tests, and it was like walking and sitting and movement. And he said, "John, I would say you have like Parkinson's, sort of, I guess it's just like a look, so to speak." So he basically sort of gave me a sort of like a 95%, of being thinking that I have Parkinson's. So it was a
wow,
and that was a bit of a kick in the guts, you know what I mean? And so as time has gone along, sort of if people out there don't really know what goes on with Parkinson's disease, it's basically like a movement disorder of the nervous system that slowly worsens over time. So and I sort of feel as if playing golf or staying in the gym or being outside, being with people, and trying to get out there and keep this movement going is about the best thing for me to do right now. And the golf, having the support team that surrounds me is something that is very helpful. And I'm doing the best thing that I could possibly do is play golf still, rather than staying at home or staying in the corner or not going out or becoming a little bit more depressed of what's sort of going on and what might happen later in life or whatever. So for the gentleman that sort of called in and emailed in, it's really a I feel for them as well, because I've dealt with a few other people that have the same sort of Parkinson's disease, and I've seen people that are a lot worse off than what I am. So at age 55, I believe that I'm still quite young to get Parkinson's. You see a lot of the people that have Parkinson's have sort of in their 60s and their mid 70s. So really, it's sort of something that I have to just sort of manage and feel like I have to stay in the gym, stay strong, and have different sort of like techniques that I can use to stay stronger or get really sort of try to get the fluidity back into the body. It becomes sort of rigid. My handwriting's all gone to the south. A lot of things that have happened that make me sort of feel like it's hard to get the real fine motor skills going with the game, because with putting or with chipping or with even nervousness on the first tee becomes more of an anxious feeling for me. So it affects that whole nervous system really strongly. So it's a tough deal at the moment.
I was going to ask you, with professional golf, and you would still feel nerves playing well on the Champions Tour. There's no doubt about that, yes. Sendo. I was going to ask you how you deal with nerves and the movement that Parkinson's gives you. And I mean, once upon a time, I was just breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. But I imagine it's a little bit different for you. And if you could just tell us more about the challenge of that, if you could.
I think when we all play in professional golf, as we know, it has been a system of, if you're not feeling the nerves on the first tee, you don't really care. And that's always important to keep those feelings alive, because if you're not caring about it, well, you shouldn't really be out there at all, because you're not going to perform at the highest level. But those feelings that I get created seem to really hang about when, if you're doing a good job, you sort of get rid of those by the time you reach the first green. So, but sometimes these feelings continue on for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth holes, and it's like a feeling of unnervousness. You feel the butterflies in the belly, you feel yourself shaken, or you feel this tension or this stiffness, that helps you with helps you get, your feeling of, out of control feeling. So really, it's not some things you can do, like breathing or try to keep yourself calm in ways. Try to sort of keep a smile on the face and talk to the person next to you, or snap out of it with good caddy on the bag, sort of thing. So it's never easy. It's something that's always going to have to manage, and it's got to have to just go out there and just keep continuing to play, because it's a I love to play the game of golf on the tour, and it's sometimes frustrating when you're not playing your best golf. As you know, the tour can be a lonely place when you're not doing your best. But with the guys that are on the tour, on the Champions Tour, it's really a breath of fresh air to be out there with the boys.
There's so many Aussies out there at the moment as well, isn't there? But one thing, I actually caught up with Triggsy at the Australian Open at Royal Melbourne. End of last year, and you were playing, obviously, and I actually was chatting to him about different things and about your game. And the one thing he actually said to me, and you can obviously clarify, and I'm sure it's all true, but I said to him, how does Sendo go with putting? Because you'd think that the tremors would really affect. And he said, well, funnily enough, when he puts his hands on the club, that stops. So how do you cope with those sorts of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like the best thing for me with my routine is to actually get rid of the ball as quickly as I can.
It's great for anyone's routine.
So if I sort of, if I say pick up this pan, and the longer I hold it in the air, the more it's gonna shake, right?
Yeah, okay.
But if I was to, basically look at the target, look down, look again, look down, then go, I actually stay pretty calm.
Nice.
So, so it's sort of the biggest issue I have, and it affects me more, say, my long game, because I feel like if I'm holding the club really lightly and I swing, it feels pretty fluent. But if I hold onto it lightly and it starts to go, so that I get tighter as I sort of feel it, and to try and stop that tremor. And that really sort of offsets the real sort of rigid feel in the body and the turning. So that's where I feel like my ball striking lately has let me down more so than the actual short game, because with the short game you can sort of look down and go. With the long game, I sort of feel tight and rigid. So it's a difficult sort of situation to be in.
Hey, Sendo, our friends at Hostplus, we're always thinking about the future and planning for the best. What's in your future? What happens when you finish playing golf? What are you going to do? Where do you picture yourself?
Yeah, that's another good question. So I've always noted know to myself as a player, but that's every good thing comes to an end at some point. But I can sort of feel like if there's any sort of like charitable organisations we can get into with the PGA, I'd love to help out the PGA with that. And also just giving back to the game of golf, whether it might be locally at my home club or it might be just with juniors. They've got a good junior system going on at the golf club at Keperra, and to help out with that, and then just sort of just go out there and enjoy life and just be with family. Jackie and Jacob are at home, so we're trying to get Jacob on the road to get in the work industry now. So and just trying to sort of see the world with different places that we haven't been before, that sort of thing, bit of travel. And not that we haven't done enough travel playing the game of golf, but I mean, it's like, but sometimes even seeing, you actually see things, and also seeing what's in our own backyard as well. But, because we've been all over Europe and America. Now let's go home and do some fun things back at home, and spend time with family.
Well, John mentioned earlier on about the fact that he was diagnosed early. Interesting, I've got some stats here from Parkinson's Australia. So over 150,000 people living with Parkinson's in Australia, and each year 1,100 diagnosed under the age of 50, which is that's interesting. Gosh. But the info hub at parkinsons.org.au is the most up-to-date resource in Australia, with lots and lots of stuff there for carers and people working through it as well. So I think, and people like Sendo talking about it openly, I think it's one of the best things that could happen. It is
one of the best things you could ever do, Sendo, being open and us seeing you play golf. Because when we did hear the news, we were worried about you, like everybody would be, and to see you out enjoying yourself playing golf and performing pretty well. Also, it's got to be said, it's putting a smile on a lot of people's faces back here in Australia, Sendo.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, guys. The golf is always a little bit inconsistent at the moment, but I'm really working hard to try to get back on it, and it's good to be out here playing and also chat to you guys tonight. How's
the ball flight these days with the new equipment? have we still got a bit of rise about you?
That rise has stopped, Mark. I'm telling you, that new golf ball has got all sorts of problems on it. It goes low and stays low now.
Good on you, buddy.
Very good.
Great to see you. Great to see you. That big smile of yours as well, Sendo. It's when I look at this picture of you holding the Valspar trophy back there, you got the big piercing blue eyes and the best smile you'd ever see. Great to see the big man from Queensland living large. So good on you and good luck.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Nick, for having me on today.
Thanks, mate.
Hey, pleasure.
Great to see you.
What a great fella.
Unbelievable, eh?
So
good.
He was always one of the best blokes you'd ever meet. And if you ever saw your name paired with John Senden, even before he was the US Tour John Senden, it was always wonderful, a great experience you knew you were going to have.
And you're always going to get a ball striking clinic.
You were always going to – he always made you feel very, very small in professional golf. Good on you, folks. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll catch you next time.
Beauty, mate. Thanks for that. That's awesome.
You're a star, Sendo. You're a star.
Good on you, Mike.
So good.
That's good, mate.
From the Innisbrook Resort Copperhead Course final round of the Valspar Championship, Palm Harbor, Florida, Robert Garrigus started the day with the lead but gave away a handful of shots on the front side. Battling back late, makes the putt at 14, trying to stay in the mix, looking for a strong finish. Luke Donald, past champion, won here in 2012. Early on, a putt at the third to get to 4 under. Protecting the score would be the theme of the day. Scott Langley alongside Luke Donald in that pairing for birdie from the edge of the green at 4. And that a lengthy putt to get to 6 under par. Langley looking for his first tour win. John Senden trying to get back in the winner's circle. He's not won since 2006. Here we are 8 years later, 42 years of age. The birdie at 14, and Senden also throwing his name in the hat. Kevin Na in the final pairing with Robert Garrigus. Started the day 1 off the lead, makes the putt at 14, and Na very much in the picture. Now, with a share of the lead, John Senden at 16. First hole of the snake pit, misses the green in regulation, but then sinks it from 68 foot away. That takes him to 6 under par. Now to 17, 21 and a half feet. John Senden gathering all sorts of confidence with back-to-back birdies to begin his trip through the snake pit. Also at 17, Kevin Na, downhill putt. That brings him back to within one of the lead, so it comes down to the 18th. John Senden on in regulation. Now playing this downhill, 7 under total, nearly makes another birdie to finish, but a tap in would take him to 7 under and the clubhouse. He would wait and watch, and Kevin Na, after the birdie at 17, if he could pick up another, he could be on to extra holes, but this just loses its line early, so that does it. John Senden looking on, and he has the victory.
Talk Birdie to Me with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen. Live from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. FootJoy, the #1 shoe and glove in golf. The golf clearance outlet, they beat everyone's prices. Better, ahead of the game. Ping will help you play your best. And Hostplus, they can help you drive your retirement further. Now that's a plus. Issued by Hostplus Pty Limited. This is general advice. Consider the PDS and TMD on our website before deciding. Wherever you listen or watch, we'd love you to subscribe and share the pod with a friend. Talk Birdie to Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media. Sound design by Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com. And now from Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, that's been Talk Birdie to Me.
Front 9, back 9, or eyeing the 19th hole, wherever you are in life, Hostplus can help you drive your retirement further. That's a plus.